Hello and welcome to this video tutorial from Computergaga.com, and in this video we are going to solve an interesting challenge that I was sent recently. I was sent a list of names and addresses just like you can see on screen and asked how we can sort that list by name. Now that creates a problem because of the way this list is laid out. And this person had hundreds of these names and addresses. Not only that, but this is something they have to do quite often. So they wanted a simple way that they can also repeat in the future again and again. Now I've written an article on this. I've written a tutorial that you can find a link to in the description of this video, which is on the My Spreadsheet Lab website by Kevin Lebas, where I demonstrate two approaches to this, a VBA solution and a Power Query solution. And in this video, I wanted to run through the Power Query solution with you. But please check out the link to see the VBA alternative if that is something that interests you. So let us start by selecting this range of cells in question. And on the Data tab, I'm going to click my From Table Range button. Now please bear in mind, depending on your version of Excel, it may have a slightly different layout and terminology than mine does right now. But I've got this From Table Range button that will prompt me for the range of cells and whether it has headers or not. And it's a yes to both of those questions. So when I click OK, that's going to format that into a table and take me into the Power Query editor. And here we are. This is where we are now. We're going to go through some steps to shape and transform this data into a way that we can easily sort it. I'm going to begin by naming my query over on this right hand side. So instead of table 1, I can call it sort list, a nice appropriate name for the query that will be refreshing in the future when we have to do this task again and again. And I have my applied steps underneath it, which at the moment is not a lot. And here we are back over on the left hand side. So the first thing I'd like to do is get rid of these blank rows. They are not very helpful at all. So I'm just going to filter those out with the filter arrow in the address column and remove the null values. And that's them taken care of. Now, the biggest problem we have here is the addresses and the fact that they spill over 3 rows in total. And we can't sort them like this. I need this data into one row for each. So totaling 4 rows for us right now, 1 for each person, so that we can then easily sort this data. The next thing I'd like to do is to fill the names out. So if I select the name column, and then on the Transform tab, I'm going to choose Fill Down. So it fills each name down, now giving us a complete table. Now we need to get these addresses into different columns. I need one column for each part of the address, the first line, the city or town, and then the postcode. Now for this we need to categorize each address, each name and address. So I'm going to begin by, on the Add Column tab, adding an index column. And that will start from 0, so we've just got an index column here. And I'm then, still on the Add Column tab, going to the Standard button to bring in the Modulo column. And that will prompt me for a value. Enter a number in which to find the remainder for each value in the column. Now I want to enter the number here that determines how many lines we have for each address. So for us, that is 3. And when I click OK, this is fantastic because this categorizes each section. You see the repeating values of 012, 012, 012, and we can now use that to pivot those addresses into different columns. If I select the modulo column and then on the transform tab choose to pivot the column so they will appear as column headers, it will prompt me for what is the values column. I'm going to choose address, and then it will prompt, or it doesn't, but I want to expand this advanced options. So it prompts me for what aggregate calculation to perform. And I'm going to say none. I don't care about any aggregation. I don't want to add or count anything. I just want to completely transform the layout of those addresses. So with that done, we can click OK. And look at that. It is slowly beginning to take shape. There's our 0, 1, 2 along the top from the modulo column that I've pivoted. And now we have these addresses laid out to the right of the names. Just a little bit more work here and we are ready for sorting. Now, just like we did a few steps ago, I want to fill some of these out to remove the null values. I'm going to start with the 0 column and fill that one down so the addresses populate the null values. I'm then going to click on column number 2 and fill that one up. You see how the postcode is on the last address line each time? I want to fill that one up and it populates them. Then I'm going to get rid of the nulls from column number 1. They're no longer needed. I've got one good address line for each, which is exactly what we want. So enter the filter arrow for column 1, remove the null values, click OK, and look at that. We now have a perfect row for each person. This index column is no longer needed. I'm going to remove the index column. And these column headers could definitely do with a little bit of a tidy up. So I'm going to label that one address. I'll label this one city. And I'll label this one postcode. And now we are ready for the big moment, which is to select the name column. That's the column I want to sort this list by. Although it is already sorted at the moment, you can see. And I would go to my home tab. And I'm going to press this A to Z button to force a sorting of that list. And there we have it. That sort is added into the steps, which is important. So it gets repeated each time this is run, just in case those names are not in order. And if I zoom out, and we can now close and load this data to our worksheet. I'm going to put it into a table, and let me put this just next to the data I currently have so that we can see our working. And there we have it, a perfect list that we can repeat again and again. So let's see that in action. If I was to now go and add some data to this list, so I'll miss out a blank row just like it is as normal. Let me put in my own name as a demonstration here. And I'll just put in any old address, Given Street, which can be in London, which can be in an E2 postcode. Here we have it. And if I just expand that table range to accommodate that, and I shall right mouse click on my query on the right, or I could have gone to the data tab and refresh that data. Let me refresh all, and in comes me, and in the correct order. So now moving forward, doesn't matter how many names and addresses that we get, we can easily sort that just by checking our table range is correct and refreshing that data set. Now, a great thing about using Power Query is that we can also go back to this at a later date and edit some of those steps or remove some of those steps as things might change in the future and how we receive this data. You can also add your own steps into it. I didn't do any steps in this example to format any of these text columns. You might feel it's necessary to go and change them to proper case, just in case they're not written in that way, or to do any other steps that you find beneficial for you in your example. I hope you found this video useful. Please check out some of our other videos on our YouTube channel and come check us out at Computergaga.com.